right, time for our Health Watch with Dr. Syed Hussain from Trinity Health of New England joining us to give us his insights on some of the trending topics of the day. Today, we are starting with something we've talked about a lot in the past, screen time for kids. First things first, good to see you again, Doctor.
Yeah, likewise. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you.
We missed you.
It's good to be back, and it's good to see you in person and get this info. All right, screen time recommendations, a lot in the past, generally treated screen time the same and just sort of focused on amounts, like maybe it should only be an hour a day or 2 hours a day. Now the American Academy of Pediatrics looks like they have some new guidelines, some new reference points. I'm taking it that they're adding more nuance to this conversation, and I think that's a good thing, because as you were telling me before, screen time's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. That's the key thing that parents should remember, Tim. Screens are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. How do we utilize what a child watches? Because as we discussed earlier, there's things that are really educational and could be informative to children growing up and actually could foster growth and learning and development. But then there's things that, violence and crazy things that we see on screens which can hamper development. So it's important to understand what those are and how, parental controls, for instance, should be something that you should look into for your child, and actually have a screen time regimen. So for instance, what the recommendations include are, up to 18 months of age, just do, FaceTime, for instance, to 24 months, something that's educational. 2 to 5 years of age, limit screen time to 1 hour on the weekday, maybe up to 3 hours on weekends. So things like that parents should consider. But also remember, there's so much more than just screen time. So we need to go back to those basics. Outdoor activities, especially now, spring, summer, fall, educational activities for children, summer camp. There's so many other things that can, increase learning and actual children to interact with other children as well.
It's a more holistic look from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you want to go online, you'll see they have something called the 5 C's. We're not really going to break that down now, but a lot of that deals with it, especially in terms of replacing a lot of the stuff that screen time has been taking away. That was the 4th C, what they're talking about, crowding out, kind of how to shift from screen time to some of the things like talking with your family, other things like content. That's sort of getting into what we were saying before, that not everything is the same. And I think that's what a lot of parents intuitively understand. My 6-year-old, sometimes he's watching YouTube, he's watching influencers screaming about things and having fun. But then other times he's actually trying to make music on GarageBand or make videos on iMovie, and that's more educational. That's using different parts of his brain. Those two things are clearly not the same.
That's right. And one other thing parents may want to consider is not have any screens when you're having a meal, when at family dinner or lunch, and so that you can have a good conversation. Ban those screens.
That is a daily fight with us at our house. I'm glad you mentioned that. We give in on the weekends, but yeah. All right, moving on. Panera Bread is now saying it's going to phase out a very controversial lemonade drink. It's charged lemonade. Has a huge amount of caffeine in it that's at least being blamed, according to some lawsuits, for at least 2 deaths and some other injuries too. Just how much caffeine was in it? How much caffeine should we be getting a day?
Great question, Tim. So let's go through some of the basics. So if you're having a soft drink with caffeine, it can have anywhere from 30 to 40 milligrams of caffeine in that drink, a 12-ounce drink. 8-ounce black tea can have up to 50 milligrams of caffeine. 8 ounces of coffee can have up to 100. An energy drink can have up to 250 milligrams of caffeine. The FDA says it differs from person to person, but generally speaking, up to 400 milligrams of caffeine. So that's about 4 to 5 cups of coffee a day. Should be relatively okay, but then, again, it depends from person to person. Different people are, react differently to caffeine. Some may be a little bit more sensitive. But anything above that can then start giving rise to symptoms. It could be anxiety, jittery, seizures in some cases, or more arrhythmias. So, that's the basic guideline that folks need to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think in at least one of those wrongful death lawsuits, it was a patient who already had an existing arrhythmia problem that seemed to have been exacerbated, according to the lawsuit, by all that caffeine. Not saying it was or it wasn't. But
one misnomer I do want to clarify, decaf. So people frequently think there's no caffeine in a decaffeinated drink. That's not true. There will be limited, smaller amounts of caffeine, but there 15 to 20 milligrams, for instance, but there will still be caffeine.
Important to know. Another thing here, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. A new study did find that brief moments of anger may impair the function of your blood vessels. How harmful is this to the heart? Is there anything good, cathartic about letting anger out as opposed to keeping it in?
Yeah, it's about anger management. What skills, what techniques, what tools can you develop so that you know what the triggers are, Tim, and what you need to do? Step away from the situation, for instance, or go for a walk, talk to someone, do something that will preoccupy and remove these negative thoughts. So this is an interesting study. It adds to the growing body of evidence that anger has an effect which can impact both the heart and other organs, can cause a heart attack and cause a stroke. So this is a study looking at 280 people published in the Journal of American Heart Association, which basically put folks into 4 groups. One, anxiety, sadness, anger, and then one was a neutral group. So the one in the anger, the group that was randomized to the anger portion actually showed differences in blood vessels and how they're able to relax or not relax, leading to some of these observations.
Okay, interesting. Yes, not saying letting out anger is good or bad, but as far as blood vessels go, it looks like could be a problem. Not really surprising there, considering
That's right.
It raises your blood pressure anyways. Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We had a lot to